All right, guys, good evening. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. It is our honor to have Seth from SMB Capital Options Trading Desk for talking about options trading and how to actually transit to become a full-time option trader. SMB Capital and SMB University has been known to the trading community almost 15, 16 years, if I'm not wrong, and they've had a lot of contribution to the community by their education, by their videos, Mike Bella by their books, by his book. So we love always hearing from you guys, and we learn a lot from every single video, every single tweet, every single thing that you're publishing, and we appreciate the contribution to the trading community, really. Thank you for accepting our invitation to talk about that. Our community is mostly focused on equities, but there is more and more demand to learn options and benefit from the potential that options trading have for traders, either part-time or full-time. I personally, got into this and I'm really enjoying it, and I see a huge potential in that. So thank you so much, Seth, for coming and sharing your time and expertise with us. Over to you. So we do have this off-topic chat, and we do have a question tab. If anyone has any question, please type it in the questions tab, and I review it. And if there's time, if there's something that we have to, let Seth know and maybe ask the questions at the end, I really appreciate that. Well, yeah, over to you, Seth. Thank you again.
Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate your inviting me, and it's an honor to speak to your group. Very, very kind words about SMB. I've been with SMB Capital for 10 years. Started in 2010. In fact, I'll get into my history a little bit, but I could tell you they are absolutely the most ethical, top flight, serious traders you are ever going to meet. Very, very giving kinds of people who, just are all about training and seeing people improve. The greatest thing in the world for us is seeing traders improve, whether they are trading for us and trading our capital, or we've just trained them and they're trading their own capital. Just to see them succeed, you can't imagine how exciting and gratifying that is. So thanks so much, Andrew, and hi, everyone. I know this is your personal time. The market's closed. You could be out having fun, and you're sitting here learning. And so hopefully this will be a good use of your time. So I want to get started. Before I forget, we have some disclaimers I've got to just put out there quickly, and that is that SMB Training, which is our education company, is not a broker-dealer. We're doing this webinar for educational purposes only. Anytime you see a position that we would be displaying in a meeting like this, they're going to be hypothetical and therefore not subject to the market factors of liquidity, slippage, and commissions. And most importantly, options trading, all forms of trading investing have risk. And so you can't expose any of your capital to options trading or really any other type of trading unless you've gotten a good solid education, you've done a lot of back testing and paper trading before you trade live. When you trade live, trade very, very small relative to your net worth and net income for an extended period of time, particularly with options, because options are different. They respond differently to market conditions than you may understand initially. So if you're on that learning curve of understanding how they respond to market conditions, and you're doing that with a lot of capital, that is a very, very bad combination. And I'm going to tell you a story tonight that's going to drive that home. Okay, so today let's have some fun tonight, and I can run you through, my history, and I can run you through, how we put our options trading desk together and our options tribe together, and they're all kind of interesting stories. So I hope everyone, more than anything else, has some fun tonight. So tonight's talk is called "How to Transition into a Professional Options Trader," because at the end of the day, I assume you're all here not as a hobby to fool around, but because you either want to start trading full-time or you want to at least supplement your income with your trading activity. I would assume that's a goal of everyone on this webinar tonight. So Let me ask you a question. This is a pie chart that was put together based on a survey, and this asks, what do kids want to be when they grow up? And these were the replies. I kind of thought it was interesting. You know, something else is the biggest category, about a third. A lot of the answers were athlete, veterinarian, military. But then 10% wanted to be doctors and nurses, 10% wanted to be chefs, 9% wanted to be scientists, 9% wanted to be rock stars and musicians, 6%, that's one of the largest categories, wanted to make video games. So anyway, I just thought that was a very interesting chart. Here's a question I have for you. Do you see insurance executive on this chart at all? Anybody see insurance executive on this chart? Nope. Well, that's what I was. I was a CEO of a property and casualty insurance company. I don't know if anyone knows what I mean by a property and casualty insurance company. Life insurance company is where you're insuring people against their death, essentially, right? If you die, you win. If you live, you lose, right? So that's right. AK, correct. It's general insurance. Property and casualty insurance is everything else, pretty much. The fire insurance, car insurance, home insurance, insurances for businesses, workers' compensation, etc. That's the business I was in, and I was the CEO of a property casualty insurance company of reasonable size for 15 years. It is a miserable business. It's traditionally one of the worst return businesses in the world. It's 135th out of 194 industries. And it's not only not very profitable, but everyone is pissed off at you all the time. You have policyholders who give you their premium. If they don't have a claim, they feel like they wasted money. Why should I give you guys my money and you don't give me anything back? So policyholders are mad at you. Claimants are mad at you because they all just got into an accident, so they're all upset when they call you, right? We have the government that's angry at us all the time, trying to control our prices, dictating our contracts, right? And then, of course, we have juries who love to stick it to insurance companies. So I'm in an industry where everyone's where it has a lousy return. Everybody's pissed off at you all the time. And then what is your business? Your business is dealing with horrible things that are happening to people. Hurricanes, earthquakes. You have your agents who collect your premiums stealing from you. You have reinsurers who reimburse you for part of your risk, going broke. You have interest rates tanking. And you have, of course, people getting into accidents, getting hurt. It is a miserable business, all right? It was my dad's company. I came into it actually after he sold it, but I became a manager of the company, ultimately ran it. And, I didn't choose it, put it this way. It sort of just kind of came to me. So that was not my dream job, even though I spent half my life doing it. Instead, I retired from that business in 2006. So I had to ask myself, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And I always loved the stock market. I love trading. And a good friend of mine said, hey, there's a 2-day seminar coming up where they're going to talk to you about how to trade. It was called, well, I don't want to name it because these guys, I think, got into big trouble. I think some of them were jailed and fined. Anyway, so it was a 2-day webinar. Sorry, not a 2-day webinar, a 2-day seminar live. You had to pay $100 and you were there live. It was one long 2-day sales pitch on how to spend 10 grand to have these people teach you how to trade. And so they get up there, they would tell you different strategies, and the people, I remember this one guy shaking his head going, only in America. That was like a mantra there. Only in America could you have an opportunity to trade like this, right? One morning during the webinar, they got up and they started to teach people which websites to go to so you could take a credit card, max it out, and then move your balance over to a second credit card and max that one out. And then move your balance to another credit card and max that one out. So that basically they were teaching these people how to get into tremendous credit card debt so that they could avoid so that they could afford paying this $10,000 for these people to teach you how to trade. They were literally putting people in debt. So at the end of the session, they took these, they had you volunteer to meet with it's not even a Ponzi scheme. It's worse than a Ponzi scheme, right? So at the end of the session, they asked you to volunteer to go back and talk to one of their advisors, which was a blatant salesperson, right? And so I refused, of course, because I saw the whole thing was a scam. But the lady next to me was about to go in, and she went in. She talked to them for half an hour. She came out, and I said, "What are you planning to do?" And she said, "I'm going to buy the $10,000 program." I said, "Do you have $10,000?" She goes, "No, I'm just going to run it on my credit card, like they were telling me to." And I said, "Well," I said, "I don't understand why you would do that. These are total strangers. They sat and give you a pitch for 2 days. You're going to give them $10,000?" And she said to me, "Look, I either give these people $10,000 and try to make it work trading, or I'm going to declare bankruptcy. So there's no downside to me." All right. This is the kind of thing that was going on in the trading business back in 2006 when I first went to this webinar. So I said to myself, there has to be a better way to learn how to trade than giving money to these scammers. So I will tell you that, wow, that's interesting that happened. I was able to advance my screen. I see what happened. Okay. So I started to search around, and I focused on lots of different kinds of trading. I was under a non-compete with my insurance company after I had left, so I actually had 9 months. I thought about getting back into the insurance business, but what I would rather do was learn how to trade and trade for a living. So I ended up searching. I have a very close friend who's been trading options for years. We sat down one day, and he convinced me that options trading was going to be my best option. No pun intended. So here is why, of all the types of trading, I chose options trading. Number one, I hate to lose. And that's not a positive, by the way. It's a flaw for a trader, but at least it's real. Okay? I prefer to be able to think things through as opposed to make snap decisions. If you're a day trader, you better make decisions very quickly to get in and get out of things. All right? I'm a more ponderous kind of person, so I like to be able to think things through first before I make my moves. Sometimes I'll spend literally 2 hours modeling things before I make a trade, okay? I also like feeling that there are lots of ways that I can win. I like bets with high odds. Also, I know I'm lousy at picking market direction. If you want to make money, whatever I think is going to happen next in the market is what you should trade the opposite. That's how you can really get rich. The Seth Freudberg reverse newsletter, okay? So I know that I'm not good at picking market direction. And very importantly, I'm willing to sacrifice return for safety. I'd rather buy hedges and sacrifice the potential for larger gains had I not bought those hedges. And I actually like when my hedges lose money because that means my underlying trade is making money, okay? So that is why I chose options trading. That is a personality inventory of me, which put me into that category. So if that sounds like any of you guys, then options income trading might be something interesting for you. Now, when I did start getting involved in options income trading, I ended up getting enamored with one particular strategy. It's called an iron condor. And Chris says, it sounds like options have a built-in insurance. And well, options have especially index options trading is very, very analogous to insurance. It's almost exactly what insurance is from a economic standpoint. But anyway, so I got particularly enamored with one strategy. And I ran that strategy for 6 months. Many times what you do with options income trading is you do monthly trades. They last for like 30 days, and then you roll your capital in and you start a new trade, okay? So on a small amount of capital, I experienced great success with this one strategy. I had a 6-month winning streak. I never lost. I had 6 winning months in a row. In the 6 months, I increased my capital. This number's real, guys, by 2,500%. I did the math on it once. Okay? I went from one number. I'm not going to give you the numbers because you'll get sick when you hear it. I went from one number, and I didn't increase it by 250%. I increased it by 2,500%. I became so convinced that this was like an ATM machine that I couldn't lose. So why not trade it much, much, much larger? Then I would make much, much more money. So what do you think happened? Here's what happened. I increased my capital quickly, and I pissed off the options gods. Okay? What do you think happened? I got killed that next month, because there is no form of trading that is going to win every month, every day, every week. It doesn't exist. Stop looking for it. It's not there. If it was there, everyone would quit their job and do that strategy, right? So I just proved it to you. It's not there. So it was a dumb, dumb mistake. I've not made that mistake since. I like to learn from my mistakes, but I made that mistake. That is a cautionary tale for the rest of you, okay? Options income trades can be very, very hypnotizing because you win so frequently. And if you haven't experienced a loss yet, you have no business increasing your capital, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, so what was my journey as an options trader about? Well, I had many misadventures. I started with that one strategy. I got killed on it. You probably are not surprised to know that I've never traded that strategy since. I was like a kid bitten by a dog. I didn't have a dog after that. All right. And each of the strategies ultimately displayed what for me was a weakness. Wouldn't be a weakness for everybody, but for me it was a weakness. All right. I finally found my bread and butter trade. It happens to be known as the Rhino. And it fits my personality. Why? It's a very conservative trade. There's heavy risk control. It has very consistent returns. The drawdowns are very modest. It has an extremely high win rate. But it took me a while to find it. And it took me 4 years to find the strategy that I am now trading every month and have been for years. Okay? So that is because I have a certain kind of personality that responds to certain kinds of market conditions in a certain way. So what I've done is I have found a strategy that fits my personality, which is a key principle for us at SMB. You've got to find out who you are as a trader and then excel. Now, so at that point, I had found my strategy, but I was starting to get a little bored because strategy was working very well. I was making money, but it wasn't really particularly challenging to me. So I have a friend, very close friend, who's one of the top options traders in the world, and he also does personal coaching. And so we went through a series of personal coaching sessions, and he asked me to analyze what would my dream job be. If I had to say to myself, what would be my favorite job in the world, what would that be? And so I said, well, what I'd love to do is have 2 teams, a team of traders who I could have in a community of traders like Bear Bull Trading, but this is focused exclusively on options traders. And I'd love to have a team of traders that I work with. So my coach said, well, hey, let's go make this happen then. So once you make a decision that you're going to start focusing on something, you naturally start to do research and talk to people and so forth. And my trading partner at that time, Tony Benincasa, who I claim was the true founder of the Options Tribe because he started this whole relationship with SMB effectively. He said, you know, Seth, there's guys who actually give you their capital to trade. I said, what are you talking about? Why would somebody else give me their capital to trade? He goes, it's a business model. It's called a proprietary trading firm. And he said, one of them is these people called SMB. I said, never heard of them. He said, well, let me get you in touch with them, because he had done some corresponding with Mike Bellafiore, who Andrew knows. And so we started talking, and I realized, hey, you know what? I can cure my boredom by learning how to day trade. So they have a fantastic 5-week course, which is now called DNA. And but at that time, it was sort of a broader course. It was called Equity Foundation. And I took that course, and I went up to New York. I spent 5 weeks. I camped out in New York, and I took the course live up there. And that's when I met Mike Bellafiore and Steve Spencer, who were the founding partners of SMB. Well, they saw that I was trading options in addition to learning day trading, and they asked me if I'd be interested in becoming their options guy. And so I got along very well with them. They seemed like very ethical guys. By the way, when I took this Equity Foundation course, everyone else in the course was like 25 years old. I had just turned 50, okay? And it was ridiculous, really, being in there with a bunch of young guys, but it was fun. I remember this one day in particular. Facebook was so new 10 years ago that I asked the people in the room. There were about 15 other trainees with me, and I said, just out of curiosity, it sounds like you all have Facebook pages. I don't have a Facebook page. How many of you know someone who doesn't have a Facebook page? And they all raised their hand, and they said, yes, we know one person who doesn't have a Facebook page. I said, who is that? They said, you. All right. So that was back then when, Facebook was a young person's game, and people my age didn't have Facebook pages. Well, that's obviously changed. So I became a part of SMB, and I started to create the Options Foundation program, which is our core course. And I had a great time. To this day, 10 years later, I go up to SMB every week, usually on a Wednesday, and I just spend time in the office hanging out with the traders, meeting with the partners, and so forth. And so Mike Bellafiore is one of the finest human beings I've ever met in my life, but he can get a little excited sometimes. And I don't know if Andrew is still on here or not, but Mike is an extremely nice person and a very, very giving person. But if you want to trade under Mike, you better be on your toes, because he is demanding. And I'll tell you just one quick story. So I'll tell you one quick story. And Mike has given me explicit permission to quote him on this. All right. So one day we're sitting around in the trading floor, and it's about 3:00 in the afternoon on a day the market's rallying. All of a sudden, the SPYs start selling off. The market's selling off for whatever reason. I can't remember. This is almost 10 years ago. So the market's selling off, and so Mike has a radar where he can follow every trader on the desk. So he says, why aren't more of the traders short the SPYs right now? And he just kind of called that out, and he waited a minute or two, and he said it a little louder. He goes, why are more traders not short the SPY? And he then said, does the fucking market have to come to your keyboard and fucking type in that you get short the SPYs? Okay? At which point, most of the traders got short the SPYs very quickly, right? So that is an environment of a proprietary trading company. Mike's kind of mellowed a little bit over the years, but it was a very funny moment. I had a similar story with Facebook where he took a bunch of interns in who were just learning how to trade, and he literally, I don't want to use the word of what he ripped them, but he ripped them something new. And because Facebook was selling off on the day of its IPO, and it was an obvious short trade, and nobody was trading it. and he was really annoyed because they all said this was going to happen in the morning meeting, and they told them to get ready for it. This usually happens in an IPO. Facebook is set up for this to happen. It's going to sell off at some point during the day. You got to jump on it. Nobody did. He was furious. Not furious because they didn't make money, but because they didn't take that opportunity to learn how to trade an IPO. And so Mike is an amazing guy. Steve Spencer, he's the only guy who can stand up with total certitude in the morning and just tell you what's going to happen in the market that day. Now, it's not that he knows precisely what's going to happen, but when you get to certain points in the market, he can almost, if X happens, Steve's prediction of what's going to happen next is like 90%. All right. And so it was just amazing to me that people understood the market that well. And so I was there, and they said they would like me to start an options trading community, and they would also like me to found our options trading desk. So I went back to my coach and I said, hey, guess what, coach? I think I was just offered my dream job. And the whole thing happened in probably 6 months of my having formulated this dream. So your dreams can come true. And that's it. That's another important lesson for everybody. So if you set up a goal, your dreams can come true. Now, here's a pop quiz. Ready? Everybody ready for a quiz? All right. What do the following 4 images have in common with each other? Ready? The Jeep, the Caspian Sea Monster, the Rhino, the butterfly. What do they all have in common with each other? Pretty randomly different things, right? A Jeep, the Caspian Sea Monster, which is the name of a plane, the animal, the rhino, and the insect, the butterfly. Very good, John B. You got it. Those are all the names of options trades. That's correct. They're options strategies. Oh, I forgot the speeding train. Options traders are goofballs. You need to know that now if you want to become one of us. We give nicknames to everything. Iron condor, butterfly, speeding train, tranche warfare. That's a strategy I made up, actually. The Jeep, the Weirdor. So there's something called the Weirdor. Okay, the Rhino, the Caspian Sea Monster. These are all options strategies. And so that's just what we do. We probably have too much time on our hands, so we give nicknames to these things. And looks like one of the folks in the group knows about the butterfly and the iron condor, which are very commonly traded strategies. And yeah, great. So what we did was we decided to start by building this options community called the Options Tribe. So we started with one webinar. I went up to the office next week, and I said, Mike, you think I should do another webinar? I'm really busy. And he said, Seth, the show must go on. We've got to do one of these webinars every single week. And so it turned into a one-shot webinar I did May 15th, and I've done them every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. since, and we've got close to 500 Options Tribe webinars that we have recorded in our archive. So here we are 9 years later, and we bring in the top options traders in the world. All the famous guys you've heard of have come and spoken on option strategies, options theory, and particular strategies that they've developed and shared with our community. So, so we then decided to develop not only my Options Foundation course, which is our fundamental course to teach you options trading, but we then did a bunch of advanced courses. And we have a very large number of advanced courses that we've developed. They're all in video, and they're all for but you've got to have the core basic knowledge in order to learn any of those advanced strategies. But it is nonetheless available to folks if you have developed the fundamental knowledge of options trading. So I like to think of SMB as a college that gives you a job. What do I mean by that? We have people that come and they take our courses, And if they are then successful with trading the strategies they learned in our courses, then they can apply to us for us to trade there for those traders, customers really, to trade our capital. And then they move from being customers to being a member of the SMB Capital trading team. So who were the people who we chose to be on our options trading desk? And many of them were students that I've personally mentored, which really is the best way to get to know someone's skills, because you get to understand how they think. It's not just someone sending in a broker statement and here's how much money I made last month, but it has to do with the person's thought processes, and their risk management, their thinking, why they make the choices they do. And so naturally, a lot of the people who you mentored are going to end up on your trading desk. We used to have a Options Tribe trading contest in our community, and the winner was offered a seat on our trading desk. The traders on our desk are remote. We've had over the years guys in Indonesia, in Australia, all the way to California. We've got a guy who's in Slovakia now, which was formerly part of Czechoslovakia. And we've got people in all sorts of industries: plant managers, software engineers, entrepreneurs, bureaucrats, consultants. Many of these people have full-time jobs, but they're on our trading desk, demanding full-time jobs, because our type of trading doesn't necessarily require you to be sitting in front of the screen all day. And so here's the beauty of options income trading. Most forms of day and swing trading, if you're wrong about direction, you lose. You say, I'm going to go long Tesla. If Tesla goes down, you got to stop yourself out of the trade, right? At some point, if it goes down too much, okay? If you don't get the direction right, it's over. You've lost. So since any given stock at any given time can go up, go nowhere, or go down, in only one of those cases do you make money. But with options income trading, the markets can go up, nowhere, or down. As long as the markets stay inside a certain range that you define, you win. So it's not like stock trading where there's only one scenario where you can win. With options income trading, there's many scenarios you can win, some of them opposite to each other. All right? The analogy I like to give, how many people on here tonight are golfers by any chance? How many folks play golf? Well, whether you do or not, and there's probably people on, not gophers, golfers. All right, so as a friend of mine once told me, a good way to think of your first shot once you get on the green, usually you're not close enough to the pin to make that first putt. You've got to make two putts typically. All right, you don't want to get it in the hole. That's too difficult. What you want to do is get it into like a 5-foot radius around the hole, because if you can get it there, your second shot you should be able to make very easily. So you're shooting for that range, not that exact point. All right, and that's a good way to think of options income trading. Now, so another great thing about options income trading is you don't have to quit your job while you transition into your career. It does not require constant screen time. Many of our traders hold down full-time jobs, as I mentioned. We have traders who were on our desk trading our capital who would for them, noon Eastern time is midnight. So what they would do is they would trade from 9:30 to midnight, and then they'd close the computer, they'd put in their final orders, they'd put in some special protectionary orders should something go crazy in the market in the afternoon, and they'd go to sleep. All right? And they were very successfully trading in that style. And so what you need to realize is that while you can trade holding down a full-time job, it doesn't mean you have to be asleep at the switch. You have to have a way to get to the market when you need to if something extreme happens. As Dan, one of the greatest options traders I've ever met, once said, I won't give you his last name because I don't have his permission. He says, I put my orders in and then I go do something fun. Meaning in the morning, he puts his orders in for trades he wants to get into, and then he goes and he does something fun. If the orders fill, they fill. If they don't, they don't. And those orders include protective orders on his position should something go crazy in the market while he's out goofing around playing golf or whatever. So that's and so what's great about it is you don't have to quit your job to transition into an options income trading career. You can learn options income trading. You can even end up trading on our trading desk without quitting your job, so that once you eventually become competent enough to live off of your trading, you can get there in a gradual and careful way, as opposed to having to take this giant career risk of quitting so you can be in front of the screen all day to find out if you can be successful. That's a lot of risk. With options income trading, you don't need to take that risk. So let's now move into the question of why so many people fail at trading. And the number one reason is they don't bother to take the process seriously. Trading is a business, okay? If you don't take your business seriously, if you don't run your business in a business-like manner, okay, you're not going to succeed. I was once a mentor for another company, and I was assigned 10 traders every month who took the course, spent $6,000, which is way more than we charge, $6,000 to take our fundamental options course. It included a bunch of mentoring sessions that I, as one of the mentors, would give. At the beginning of each month, I would send out an email to each of the people that I was assigned to mentor that month. 10 emails. I normally was assigned 10 traders, okay? I would send out 10 emails asking when they would like to meet for their first mentoring session. 50% of the people every month never replied to my email. They spent $6,000. They never replied to my email. Of the other 5, 2 of them would come to 1 or 2 sessions and then disappear. Of the remaining 3, 1 of them wouldn't even make it to the very end. They were entitled to, I think, 13 sessions. Okay? The 2 finally did. Well, guess what the typical success rate is among traders across all forms of trading? About 20%. You ever hear the expression, half of life is just showing up? It's a really true statement, all right? If you take the process seriously, your chances of succeeding are so much higher than that 20% number, because you're among the 20% who actually took the process seriously. All right? So let me tell you right now, if you think it can be easy money, if you think you can succeed as a trader without doing work, go do something else, because you're not going to succeed. You've got to put the work in. Secondly, you've got to get educated properly. Okay? It involves coursework, and you most likely should have a mentor with mentoring process with an experienced trader, because that's really usually how the great traders learn. Okay? Another reason people they fail in trading is they get cocky with one strategy, like I did. This terrible story I told you. I didn't trade it so large I blew my account up, but I put a major dent in my account, let's put it that way, from that idiotic mistake of mine. All right? And so, but they traded so large, they blow their account up. Now they don't have any capital to trade. They're done. They got to go back and work at McDonald's. All right? Or another reason people fail is they trade like a robot. They backtest a strategy. They trade it exactly as they backtested it. They never vary, no matter what's happening, no matter whether it's obvious that conditions have changed, no matter whether it's obvious they're in an extremely dangerous situation. They trade it like a robot. On the other hand, there are also people who develop a great strategy and then just never follow it. They plan their trades, but they don't then trade their plan, if you've ever heard that expression. Okay? So those 2 last points look contradictory to each other, but they're actually not. They're both parts of success. You can't trade with no common sense, but you do have to follow your plan most of the time if conditions are normal. Now, so what is the proper path to transitioning into a career as a full-time options trader? Number one, you have to get an education. If you think you can just start fooling around and just jump on YouTube videos or Google things and dabble around, you're going to lose. There's no such thing as a born trader. You have to be trained to become a trader like any other profession, all right? You really should get a mentor. It's not very common that people can be in a silo and succeed in trading. They need to be getting feedback from someone, all right? It's good to join an options trading community. We have something called the Options Tribe. I'm not saying you should necessarily join our community, but you should join a community of options traders so you can chat with them, so that you can interact with them, so that you can share ideas, so myths you have in your mind can be dispelled and ideas that you should be developing can be developed. Very importantly, which is why I underline this, you need to find your bread and butter trades. That's what I did. That's why I'm a successful trader, but it takes a while sometimes. You have to do a lot of experimentation, which is why you should trade small until you find your bread and butter trade, okay? And it might take you a couple years, right? Here's a tip I have about your experimentation phase. If you're getting comfortable with the strategy, don't bump your capital in that strategy until you have a loss in that strategy. Why do you think I say that? I say it because you don't know how you're going to feel about that strategy after you have your loss. You might find there's a flaw in that strategy that's probably going to keep coming up over and over again, and you actually won't make money trading it long term. But so if you bump your capital before you've seen the weak side of that strategy, that's a failure formula. Only bump capital when you've seen the loss and you say to yourself, this is not the sign of a bad strategy. It's just a losing month in a really great strategy. Okay? Trade, don't just follow the rules. All right? Trade, don't just follow the rules. Because there are times where the rules that you've set up and back tested and studied don't make sense in a particularly obvious situation. Okay? Give you a quick example. Let's say there is Brexit. 4 years ago, the British had a referendum to decide whether they were going to leave the European Union. All right? Everybody in the world knew it was a tight election. Either way it went, the market was going to freak out or rally. Big time, right? If you're in an options income trade, you don't really like really big moves. And if you're up 90% of your target profit on the trade, you really, really don't like a big move, okay? If you're up 90% of your target profit, and in a normal time, you'd wait to get to 100%, but you've got Brexit coming the next day, you've got to be an idiot not to take that trade off. Yes, your rule says you wait to get to 100%, but in that case, you know the next day your profit's going to get ruined. So you got to get out of the trade. All right? That's called trading, not rule following. Okay? And another way that you can grow in your career as an options trader is to trade a reasonable percentage of your own capital or find a capital provider. In other words, there are people who just don't have enough capital to live off of their trading. Well, then you've got to find a capital provider, and that's the kind of thing that we do as a proprietary trading firm. There are other people who have plenty of capital, in which case my recommendation is you carve out a portion of that for your trading until you get clear that you're obviously talented, and you can think about perhaps an increased portion. But until then, you want to carve out a very small portion of your capital for you to trade, so you get the real feeling of trading without blowing your whole net worth up. So and finding out you're not a good trader. And some people are just not good traders. Okay. So let's talk about, and tonight is not about teaching you options income strategies. By the way, you can go onto our YouTube channel. I'll tell you about in a minute, and you can learn all sorts of strategies. But tonight is just to really give you a feel for what I mean by options income trading, because a lot of people don't. So this is an example of an options income trade. This is called an iron condor. And what an iron condor is where you take an index call and an index put, and you straddle the market. You go way above where the market is, and you go way below where the market is, and you sell a call way above the market and a put way below the market. And then one strike beyond that, you buy a long call to protect your short call, and you buy a long put one strike below the short put to protect that short put as well. That is called the top side of the trade. The call side is called a call credit spread. The bottom side is called a put credit spread. And combining those two together in the same options chain is called an iron condor. Now, all of you must know about calls and puts on a stock, right? A call gives you the right to buy 100 shares of a stock. A put gives you the right to sell stock at a certain price, right? Okay. Well, index options work differently. They are what they call cash settled, meaning the options are not settled in shares because you can't buy 100 shares of the S&P 500, right? That's an index. You can't buy shares of it, okay? But what you can do is get paid $100 per point above the strike price of the option, okay? So it's cash settled. So if the market goes above, in this case, 3,400, or below, in this case, 2,200, then you would have to start, let's say it went below 2,200, your short puts at 2,200 would start paying off $100 per point, per option. So if you have 100 of them, it's 100 times 100. So whether you understood what the hell I just said or not, and if you don't, I got a lot of YouTube videos which explain this much more slowly, and you'll be able to get it readily. Let's just accept for the fact that if the market stays anywhere between 2,200, I should say closes between 2,200 and 3,400 on expiration day, which in this case, this trade would have been started on April 20th of this year, and it would have expired on June 19th. Okay, so if the market closes anywhere between 2,200 and 3,400, you'd make $28,000. Okay? Now, you'd need a fair amount of capital to do this trade, but that's how much you would have made. You would have made $28,000. Now you say, all right, well, okay, there's different ways of making $28,000. This is one of them. What's so great about this? Well, let me show you what's so great about it. Take a look at this. This is the S&P 500 this year. It hit its all-time high in late February. You can forget about that because there was a little thing called a pandemic that started right after that. All-time high of around 3,400 on like February 15th or 20th, somewhere in that range, okay? Little did they know that 3 weeks later, on March, I think it was March 18th, the market sold all the way down to 2,200. So what is that? A 1/3 loss in value in 3 weeks? 1/3 of the world market, well, or U.S. Large cap stock index dropped, whatever that is, about 1/3 in 3 weeks. It's stunning, stunning what happened, right? Okay. This trade says if for the next 6 months, the market doesn't hit either its, 2 months, 60 days, doesn't hit either its all-time highs or go below its lows of the pandemic, you make $28,000. Now, Some people find that a kind of an attractive concept, right? Because that's a pretty long way, either way, right? The market was up at around 2,900 when we put this trade on, so it would have to drop 700 points or rally 500 points in 60 days, or you pocket $28,000. So this is an example, and whether that, and it turns out the trade did work out and you would have made the full $28,000, but whether you did or didn't is not germane. What's germane is this is a good, really good example of an options income trade. Anywhere between 3,400 and 2,200, at any price in between those 2 points, you make $28,000. End of memo. Okay? So that's, if you just think about that, it's kind of an attractive idea. And that's what options income trading is about. So this is actually a very, very simplistic example. We have much more complex trades, but it is nonetheless a very, very good example of it. Now, so what are we looking for on our trading desk? Well, first of all, very well-educated options traders who know iron condors in their sleep and know many other very sophisticated strategies. We want people who have developed their bread and butter trades. We want people whose focus is risk management. Okay, their focus is risk management. Their focus is not making profits, because these strategies are built to make money on their own because the ranges of profit are so wide. They're going to win a lot. So we want people who focus on what happens when they lose and how you control that. With options income trading, the key is controlling the size of your losing months, because you're going to have so many winning months. We're looking for traders who every time they put a trade on, they expect to win. Will they win every time? Obviously not. But they have a plan that they feel really confident in, and they expect to win. I can feel that in people. I sense that in people. Those are the kind of people we hire. These are people who expect to lose on occasion, and they're comfortable with the idea that they're going to lose. I'm looking for people with consistency in returns. I don't want guys hitting grand slams and then striking out the rest of the year. All right. I want consistency in returns, and I'm looking for excellent professional work habits. You're never not at your desk at 9:30. You know, you're always working through. If you go out to lunch, or you go play golf or whatever one day, you've got protective orders in for all your trades. If I don't see that stuff, you know, I don't really have that long of a fuse for people working for us, because these are just the signs of being a professional. All right. So in summary, I love waking up on Monday mornings now. Hello, anyone who's ever heard of an AA meeting or one of the other kind of meetings. Hello, I'm Seth. I'm a trading addict, right? That's what I like to say. I love trading. What can I tell you? You can succeed as an options trader, but you've got to take the process seriously, and you have to put the hard work in to make it happen. It's part of our culture, and it's what we believe, and we know that it is true, that if you, the best traders at SMB are the guys who started from the ground up, took their courses, and did everything they were asked to do, and they succeeded. You don't need to quit your job. You can ease into options income trading, as I mentioned, because you don't have to sit in front of your screen all day. It's not that kind of trading. You make decisions about ranges, and the market doesn't normally, attack those ranges right away. And so you don't have to sit there at your screen and worry all day about it attacking those ranges, because it's probably not going to do that for a while. And you don't even really need capital to be successful. You can go to a proprietary trading firm and get capital if you've shown that you're a talented trader. What I want you to do is think about one of the traders on our desk, a guy named Andre, who lives in Slovakia. He literally didn't know what a call and a put was when he took our course. He works full-time in a foreign country, 5-hour time zones away, and now we have granted him hundreds of thousands of dollars of our capital to trade every month, and he does a terrific job. So that is my presentation for the night. Before we wrap up, I wanted to mention that if there are people here who, got excited about options income trading based on today's course, we have a program, a free webinar that we hold for 2 hours. You can sign up for it at optionsclass.com. We teach you 3 simple options trading strategies, learning how to trade over those ranges, and learn how to earn cash flow while you wait for the market prices for stocks you want to buy. And you learn how to profit on stocks and indexes, whether the stock's price goes up, goes sideways, or even goes slightly down. We'll show you a trading technique that does that and other things. So if you are interested in what we've spoken about today, go to optionsclass.com and register for the 2-hour free webinar. It's free, and you'll learn 3 new strategies, so it's worth your time. Finally, here's my contact info if you want to reach out to me. We have our Options Tribe webinar, which is every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Go to optionstribe.com. You can become a free member. That means you get invited to every one of our webinars. If you don't become, we also have premium membership, which is only $30 a month, where you get to see all of the almost 500 webinars we've done over the last 9 years, and all the strategies and the PowerPoints that went with them. And it's a really good deal. So we have our meeting every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. throughout the year, and definitely tune into our SMB Capital YouTube channel. You got to subscribe. If you do nothing else, you got to subscribe to that as soon as you get off tonight, because we give you so much free stuff. It's obscene, and constantly putting. I do a video once a week. I basically teach you new strategies every single week, and I do it in a very simple way so you can understand it if you don't know much about options at all. So it's worth your time. And you can hear Mike talk and Steve talk, and it's terrific. So go to our YouTube channel, SMB Capital YouTube channel, and sign up. You really should do that.
Perfect.
Other than that, Andrew, it sounds like I hear you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that excellent career path that you had, and it's amazing how you're growing in these options, coming from the executive role, and then this, it's just very, very impressive, very inspiring. I just wanted to, because we are really getting into the hour, there are a couple of questions on the questions tab. Some of them are a little bit technical, and it requires probably a little bit more discussion, but I just quickly go through, say, for example, do you think intraday trading of options, like day trading the way that we are trading equity, do you think it's viable? Can someone make a living out of day trading options?
Yeah. Okay. The answer is, number one, it's very funny you asked that, because next week on the Options Tribe, so who's ever asking the question, definitely should go to optionstribe.com and just sign up as a free member. All that means is we'll get you on our mailing list, okay? Then you get invited to everything. We have a guy coming on next week to talk about that exact topic, day trading options. So it's just coincidental. We don't day trade options on the options desk. Okay, we do these longer term range strategies like these iron condor that I just showed you. But the equity traders on our desk augment their equity trading by adding options into the mix. So for example, they'll buy 1,000 shares of Tesla and 10 Tesla calls expiring in 2 weeks. And for various strategic reasons, they'll combine their equity trading with the day trading. So I don't know. There are people who just day trade options. I don't know that I've met one that's been long-term successful, but I certainly know people who make $10 million a year trading a mix of equities and day trading a mix of equities and options. So I think the answer is basically yes.
So another question is, what platform you're using for the complex strategies that you discuss, for example, as a retail that is available to us, retail traders?
Well, by platform, do you mean broker or do you mean analysis software?
Either, both. It's interesting to know what's the broker. I think most of the brokers have options trading, but what is the charting or trading platform?
75%. 75% of the options income traders use Thinkorswim. Okay, TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim. The other 25% are probably 20% interactive brokers and then 5% all other. There's one firm called Tastyworks, and called Tastyworks, which is run by Tom Sosnoff, who was the one who invented Thinkorswim. So he has Tastytrade. Do any of you guys watch Tastytrade? It's a broadcast, like an internet broadcast that goes on every day, and so that's Tom Sosnoff. So maybe Tastyworks has 10% of the market now, and Interactive has 15%, and Thinkorswim's the big gorilla.
Perfect.
Now there's also, and each of those have what are called an analytical screens, which show you sort of what I showed you there, where you saw the range of profit. It's different. It's arranged in a much more mathematically important way, these analytical screens. But basically, it shows you the risks and the rewards of the trade laid out graphically. So most of the major options brokers have those analytical screens, but then there's specialty companies who just sell the analytical screens. And one of them is called Option View, and the others are called Option Net Explorer. And most options traders use one or the other to analyze their trades before they put them on. It costs about $1,000 a year, but it's very, very well spent money. I wouldn't know how to trade without it. Yeah. So that hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, we actually had Tom in our webinar set. I think it was about last year or earlier this year. He came and gave a presentation about futures trading, and also about the concept of probability, how to actually learn the concept of probability in trading. Yeah. He's a great speaker. Yep. I really look up to him and love him, and he's been really in this industry for a long time.
He's a very nice guy too.
Yeah, he's great. Chris is asking, what exactly about the Rhino strategy worked for you better than other strategy?
Rhino, yeah, the Rhino. So, Chris, we almost have to talk offline on that because it's a little complex, the answer. The answer is that options trades have a lot of reward in them, but they have a lot of risk in them also. The Rhino is a strategy where the reward comes very steadily, but very slowly. And the risk throughout most of the trade is very, very minor. So it really comes down to the risk-reward trade-off was very satisfactory to me. I'm very happy to make 30% a year if I know I'm never going to draw down more than 5% at any given point. All right. I don't need to make 80% a year and then have 30% drawdowns in the middle of it. I just don't want to live that way. So it's a low reward, low risk strategy. It returns 25 to 30% a year, and it rarely draws down more than 5 or 6% during the year. And so for me, that's a really great combination. So it's really the risk reward trade-off. I know strategies that will regularly produce 100% a year, but you got to be willing to absorb a 30% drawdown in the middle of that year. That's just not the way I'm built, but there are traders who love that. And so they're going to make more money in the end than me, but it's going to be a much rockier ride.
Perfect.
Why don't we take maybe one more question?
Yeah. So, is there any question? I'm looking at as I mentioned, there are a couple of technical questions that is asked by Wiki, but I think those are probably he better contact you or sign up to your website because they're really technical.
Yeah. It might be because if it's this is the interesting thing about options income trading. Learning it takes longer than equities, but once you learn it, it's easier. Equities is always hard as far as I'm concerned. With options income trading, it's once you get over the intellectual curve, it's actually very easy trading style. So, that's what I think is a benefit. Here's Chris.
So, Seth, you mentioned
my day trading to include that.
Sorry, you mentioned that the options, if you learn it, it's easier than the stocks. Or the other way around?
Yeah, for me, I've done both, and once you, I think learning equity trading is relatively straightforward. But getting good at executing the strategies can take years. With options income, you got to sit in the classroom and study for like 2-3 months, and you're not going to really be able to get it until you do all the studying, and then you do the studying and you go out and all the light bulbs go off. I see it happening with all my students. Slowly, usually some guys like get it right away. Other guys, it takes about 2 weeks. The light bulbs go on, boom, and they get everything. And then it becomes a very easy trading style to both implement, and to manage the trades during the trading process.
Wow, interesting. Well, that's very
Great.
interesting. Thank you.
All
So
right.
I see that you have every Tuesday.
It's been a lot of fun, Andrew.
Yeah, I want to get that. I'm going to sign up to your optionstribe.com, and definitely Tuesday 4:30 p.m. And that's Eastern time, I think, because you are based in East.
That's Eastern time. Yeah, I should have said that.
Perfect,
I should have said that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
don't forget
definitely
to go
come
to,
because I want to learn from the best, and you gotta learn from the people who have what you want to have. So, and I definitely want to have experience in options trading that you have.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Andrew, and everybody. The questions were great. Really enjoyed the interchange. It's fun talking about this stuff. I've had a fun journey, and any career you have in life, think about it. Whatever you do career-wise, if it's not fun, you're crazy because you're spending most of your time doing that. So it might as well be something you enjoy and love, and that I do.
Exactly.
So thanks, everyone. Andrew, thanks a million for giving me this opportunity, and we'll look forward to you posting it, the recording. We're going to get the recording from you too. We're going to put it up on our YouTube channel, and hopefully you guys get a lot of PR from that.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time again, and with your permission, I put this on the YouTube. And if you want the raw file of our recording, I can send it to you as well for your own channel.
Please do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone, and see you tomorrow morning for the pre-markets. Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Good night.